All right, brother Andre. So let's do this first. Before we get started with the stuff we need to talk about.
Yes.
I have to say I fundamentally disagree on the spring summer lineup for anime. You're saying there's nothing.
It's not as good as the winter was. I'm just saying.
Well, okay. Are you talking about sequels or are you talking about new content?
Both, man. Like really the only thing that this lineup has that I like is One Piece, My Hero Academia, Tokyo Revengers, which is looking to be really amazing. And So What? I'm a spider. I reincarnated as a spider. And that's it.
That didn't catch me.
It's a niche market. it's a niche isekai, I think. So it's not an isekai for everybody.
Yeah, that did. Well, and for those who don't know, explain that term to them because some people might not be as deep in the game as we are.
So isekai is basically it's like a kind of a fantasy style where a genre where you are awoken up into another body. So you die. Usually you save somebody's life from a bus. You get hit by the bus and then you get reincarnated as like some super powerful hero. It's a lot of like male fantasy, but this one is about a girl who turns into a spider. But I like it. I think it's a pretty good one. So
what about Jujutsu Kaisen?
That's not on this season. Is that on this season?
If
it is, then I didn't.
No, you're not on Jujutsu Kaisen. Here, let me put the
I didn't know. Here. No, I know Jujutsu Kaisen. I didn't know. I was watching it last season. I didn't know they were doing it again this season. I thought Jujutsu Kaisen was taking a break. Oh, snap. That's great because that means I can, after this, I'm just going to go watch it.
I thought it was coming back soon, but that and Tokyo Revengers, I'm kind of stuck up in my anime because I'm used to, I feel like, and maybe it's just getting older, I like those deeper, stories. I like Claymore. I like
Claymore was good. Berserk?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Berserk.
Well, Berserk ain't exactly, I don't use Berserk as entry level.
Yeah, nobody, that's not a good one for people to watch if they don't.
You might have to ease them into Berserk because
that's a rough one.
Have you ever looked at the manga? Because I started reading the manga a long time ago. It's gone on forever. You'll never get through it all. But
yeah, it's still he releases like an episode every year or something like that, or 2.
Berserk has some. It's a grim story. Nobody's happy in that story.
No, it's very sad and tragic, but I love it.
I'm also in the process of trying to binge Kaiju Ultimate Survivor, The Gambler.
Ooh, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil it for you. Get that one. The anime style is thick. It's a thick line anime style. What else? What would I? Gungrave. I like for those deep.
Oh, Gungrave is really depressing. Very depressing.
Maybe I just don't like having people. What about the Rising of Shield Hero?
The Rising of Shield Hero I liked. I usually don't like those kind of isekai, but I like the Rising of Shield Hero. So
yeah, because isekai, it's the basic something happened and then I woke up in a new place.
Yeah, and I'm the most powerful person in the whole place. Yeah, but at least I don't like RE0. I think I never got into that because it was too cutesy. So
Boy, buenas noches, Velo.
Boa noche. Is that a good accent? Boa noche.
Well, my accent isn't fluent, but buenas noches. It's I'm working on it. So let's back up again. Well, let me do this. I'm going to throw some words out there for people who just look at what we've been talking about. I'm going to give you some other things to scar you to watch these really interesting, deep anime. I would tell people to go in on not just Claymore, but I would say Dance of the Vampire Bund.
Dance of the Vampire Bund.
Dance in the Vampire Bund.
I think I saw that.
Prison School. No? Elfen.
I don't like any fan service. I'm not big fan of fan service. I think Prison School has a lot of fan service.
You're right. Okay, you got me there. What about Elfen Lied? ELFENLIED.
I like the anime. That was like one of my animes I watched a long time ago, back when I was like right out of college. So that was a good one.
Well, here's what I'll tell everybody.
It's very tragic.
Here's one that will catch everybody, no matter who you are. It's a good introduction. And if you haven't seen it yet, you really need to. I always say start with Death Note.
Death Note is an anime for people who don't like anime, I think.
Because the story is really cool.
It's a really good story. It kind of went a little long. They could have stopped it after, Well, I almost gave a spoiler.
Yeah. The question becomes, what would you do if you could just kill all the bad guys? Everybody can say that question. What would you do if you could kill all the bad guys?
You'd be drunk with power. I think that's what absolute power corrupts.
Absolutely. Brother Alex Bento says, I live in the city that has the best public health system in Brazil, the city of Jundiaí, 45 minutes from Sao Paulo.
Ooh, interesting.
I would go so far as to say this. It is possible, but I don't necessarily know that yours is better than anyone else's, because here you just have a healthcare system, especially for Americans. They have no idea that there are places in the world where healthcare is simply a thing you can afford.
Yes, very, very true. Very true. The healthcare system in Colombia is actually pretty good as well, and definitely affordable. Okay, especially for expats, digital nomads, and such. Do you consider yourself a digital nomad or an expat or an immigrant, or what are you calling yourself?
Okay, if you really want to be truth, I'm an immigrant.
Yeah,
right? Because I am legally a permanent resident here in Brazil. But because of the way colonialism works, if you are from the United States or England or wherever, you're always an expat. And they say the word immigrant goes to the people from countries where they are lower on the economic scale.
Yes.
Tiago got that gangster ass thumbnail up.
I know. He's got buff. What's the dude's name? I can't believe I forgot his name.
Jeff Bezos.
Yes, buff Jeff Bezos. Back when Jeff Bezos showed up with guns out of nowhere.
Yo, when Jeff was ready to pop a cap in somebody.
Yeah.
But here's where I am. I get a lot of questions about what it's like living abroad. And one of the biggest things that I have to really educate a lot of my clients on, especially who are coming to Brazil, is in the United States, healthcare is this for-profit business like it is anywhere else, except in the United States, health isn't seen as simply a human right that everyone should get, even if they're poor. Now, I'm not here to tell anybody that there aren't levels of hospitals all over the world. There aren't levels of healthcare, but
levels to this.
I'll give you an example. There was a homeless guy, and I was at my house, and I had some leftover soup or something. So I packed it up, and I'm like, I'm not going to eat. I made a giant tureen of soup. And I'm like, I'm going to take it to him. And he said, thank you so much, but I can't eat it. And I said, why? I mean, do you not eat meat? He said, I have to go to the hospital tomorrow morning. I have a pain in my stomach. And they said they might have to do a biopsy. Now, keep in mind, I'm not fluent, so we had to work this out. You're a homeless man getting a biopsy because he just walked into a public hospital complaining of pain. They took him in the back, looked him over, and said, we'll look at it tomorrow. Now, think about that for a second. Could that happen in the United States?
No, definitely not.
No. Now, I'm here to tell you that people like you and I, let me do this before I even get into that. Brother Andre, tell them who you are, where you are. Give them, and don't be modest. Don't be modest. Okay? Give them the rundown, and I'm going to show them your page.
All right. So I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I've been abroad for almost 2 years. I moved from Chicago to Colombia. So currently I'm in Barranquilla, Colombia. I am an executive coach, and I also do content production, content marketing, and a little bit of business English as well. I have a YouTube channel, and actually Yusef has given me some game on my YouTube channel because I'm very casual about it. But I think he's going to help me level up here, or I'm probably just going to level up. But yeah, and I like making videos just to educate people. I really want to see people traveling more. Really, I think that's the way that we're going to get to a better world, is by people traveling more and learning more about other cultures. So, get out of the States, move around a bit.
Yeah, I could say that. So I gave everybody your Andre every other day.
I changed the name last minute back to Andre. I changed it to Travel of the Day, then I changed it back to Andre every other day because that's what it is, and that's my Instagram as well. So
Andre every other day. Well, this is what I would say. First of all, shout out to Andre because he does things like editing videos, and anybody who watches knows I go live. I'm not about that life. Not the kid, not me. He has these beautiful thumbnails. I had someone ask me once, they were like, they asked me for some advice, and I said, well, you have to start doing these thumbnails. And they said, oh, I've been researching thumbnails, and there's so many different types and kinds, and I don't know if it's going to be beautiful. And I said, stop, okay? First off, my thumbnails are ugly, but they're mine. When you look at it, my thumbnails are consistent. Cafe stories, Quito, Ecuador. So I have a video called How to Order Coffee in Brazil.
Need to watch that.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, make sure you guys, let's see. We're live now with this one, but I'm going to show you the video, and then I'm also going to put the link to it. So if anybody wants that little bit of interesting information on how to order coffee in Brazil, I'm always practicing my language. And if I'm not mistaken, you are practicing as well Portuguese, because legend has it, you might end up out here.
That legend is pretty strong. Legend is very strong.
So coffee, how to order coffee in Brazil. And that was a fun thing I always do outside, and go, I'll go to a place, tell them these are the basics, because, coffee is one of those things that everybody's going to end up doing with their friends. It's kind of a social thing. It's, hey, what are you doing? Let's go get coffee. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to drink coffee. It just means your thumbnails, Remo. I don't even know what that means.
Remo, like emo, remote?
I don't even know.
Like Portuguese, possibly?
I don't think so. To the best of my knowledge, no.
Remo.
Can you
related to Elmo?
I don't even know how. I don't even know how to interpret that. So if you can give me some, this is how it.
Remo, hey. Your thumbnails are the Remo.
Your thumbnails remind me of a Street Fighter video game. Thank you.
There we go. Remind me of a Street Fighter video game.
I thank you very much. Thank you very, very, very much. So I'll also give you guys this, how to order coffee in Brazil. If anybody hasn't subscribed here, we always have to go through the dance. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. This channel has gone through, we have grown so much, and it's all because people have been doing exactly that. They click the subscribe button and they share it somewhere. Share this on Facebook, share it on Twitter. We talk about three big things here. We talk about living abroad, not just my life in Brazil, right? He's in Colombia. We talk about my favorite subject, which is money. Money is a great slave. If it's your master, you hate talking about it, but if you know how to make it, it's awesome. And we talk a lot about social issues. And I think this falls under money and social issues, and I'm going to go ahead and do the mandatory click, like, share, subscribe, comment. Those things are important. We got a question here for you from Mike C.
Yes, this is the hot topic. Tragic story.
Do you feel comfortable addressing that or not?
Yeah.
I don't. Okay, so we'll take a few minutes and go ahead and address that.
Okay, so basically, I'm just going to give you the news that you can find on YouTube or whatever, and I'll give you my opinion about it. It was a really intelligent brother, seemed like an intelligent brother from, I believe, Atlanta, the South, owned some restaurants. He was doing well for himself. He came down to Colombia. I'm on the north side of Colombia. I'm in Barranquilla, a fairly nice area. He was in a nice area too. He got a really good deal on a restaurant and some property. I think about $200K, but it was really nice, really good place. But and this is all going into speculation, so I'm going to pull off a little bit on this. But there was some issues, possibly with the tenants, possibly with some people in the street. Don't really know the full details, but tragically, he was murdered. The news media is saying it was over his chain. He was wearing a very small chain. That does happen in Colombia and in Chicago, actually. But I've almost gotten robbed from
don't you love how people, they hear things about living abroad? And by the way, hello, Miss Davis. They hear things about living abroad, and what they want to do is say, wait a minute, I have a friend that got robbed in Brazil or Colombia. And then I say to them, well, don't people get robbed in New York, LA, and Chicago? Could it maybe have more to do with where were they? And they never want to think about that. And then I always tell people, you're trusting the same media outlets that tell the world guys like YusefWateef and Brother Andre spend their spare time raping white women and using drugs. You're trusting them to give you information on people halfway around the world that can't even defend themselves. But people love to believe that. And I think it gives, here's what I think, Andre, I'm going to go conspiracy brother on you for a minute. I think it gives them an excuse to not actually go anywhere. They can say, I would go to that place I've always wanted to go, but I've heard that it's dangerous there. So I'm just going to stay here in Niagara Falls because maybe it'll get better, which.
You know what? I'm actually going to claim that's kind of true for why I did not go to Brazil. Cause I was just like listening to stuff on the news. I wanted to go to Brazil last year, but I didn't go. Although it was like the middle of the right thick of the pandemic. So I guess like traveling was difficult then, but there is always that kind of thing of like, you should be afraid, so don't do this. And then we've fallen into that pattern of saying, you know what? I heard from this thing that this is bad, so I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to get back into my comfort zone and keep cruising along in life.
Some people just don't. They just don't. They just don't get that. You know, it's not for everybody. You know, I believe, and I'm probably going to butcher this. Was it? Let me think before I know it wasn't Dubois. Let me think. It might have been Marcus Garvey. And somebody correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. He said, we're not all going to make it. He flat out said, not just because you want all your black brothers and sisters to make it, we're not all going to make it. We're not all built to win. Some of us are going to be where they are and have to deal with that. Now it's kind of, you know, that's one of those grim realities. Mike C says, thanks for your comments, but it's fine. You'll be okay. Just stay out of the hoods. I spent time in Sao Paulo and Rio last month. Not a thing. That's what I always tell people. Like, if you're from any city in the United States, you know, there are places that you can go downtown, hang out, eat with your friends. You know, there are places where you can't. They act like that doesn't exist in the rest of the world. Like, you come to Sao Paulo, Brazil, and, you know, they stamp your passport and stab you. It doesn't make any sense. And then they say, well, you've lived there a long time. Have you seen anything bad happen? No, because Wateef is a square. I don't go to the places where they're like, oh, there's this cool place. You just have to take 2 buses, a taxi, a mule, go outside of town where there's no phone coverage and look for a dude on the corner that says, where's the music? Nah, I think I'll just go downtown and go to the opera house. Or maybe I'll go downtown and go to a jazz club. Maybe I'll just go hang out on the street with my buddies and just have a coffee. But I don't, you know, don't you want to go see the real Brazil? The real Brazilians.
I'm not about that life.
Don't you want to see the real Brazil? Listen, the real Brazil I hang out with are people that have their shit together and blah, 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 blah. So we can talk about this maybe on another situation. We can talk about opening a business in Brazil, but I want to get back to the whole where we are in healthcare, because one of the things that I have a lot of clients that have to deal with is I have clients that are in the United States right now that are tax-paying, law-abiding citizens who realize the cost of healthcare in the United States means they will never, ever be debt-free, and they will never get the quality of healthcare that they would like. Because healthcare is one of those things where clearly if you were a decent person, you'd be able to afford healthcare, right? You'd be able to afford medicine, wouldn't you? Which doesn't make any sense, but in America, if you've never left America, they don't know that. You know, and I try to give people that little bit of information. I'll give you an example for me. One day, I felt a severe pain on the left side of my chest. And I thought, oh my goodness, am I having a heart attack? I'm not overweight. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I'm in phenomenal health. My blood pressure is 125 over 85. What could this be? So I go to the hospital. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know what's happening. I have a pain on the left side of my chest. And the doctor, she was like, okay, calm down. And she was looking me over and she's like, you don't do anything. Let me ask you a question. does it hurt when I do this? And she poked me right here, and I screamed bloody murder. She said, you're not having a heart attack, because heart attacks don't happen outside your chest. She said, have you done any lifting lately? You lift weights, right? Yes. Have you lifted weights incorrectly? And I said, no. Have you had any accidents in the gym? No, I have not. But you know what I did do? Me being a musclehead, right? Let me tell you what I did. Stupid. Freely admit this. So I was in the office downtown. The lady who was the receptionist said, hey, Watt, I've got a 5-gallon jug that goes on top of the water dispenser, but the guy that delivered it didn't put it up there for me because the old bottle wasn't done. Can you put it up there for me? So what did I do? What did Lunkhead do here? Me, again, being a typical man, showing off, I one-handed it, up and over, bang.
Nice.
And I forced it on the other side of my chest, because when you use this arm, it affects that side. And I didn't realize it. And she was like, I've never hurt myself in the gym. I've never hurt myself in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've never hurt myself lifting weights, because I'm very careful there. In the real world, I'm a danger to myself, I guess. The thing was, one of the things I never had to actually think about, I never had to think about, if I go to the hospital, will I be able to afford this? Now, I might be able to say, do I want to go to a regular hospital, or do I want, because I have my own private, I go to a public, private healthcare clinic. I never had to think about, do I have to pay for this? Is this going to come out of my salary? Am I going to have to dip into my, for people who don't know, I spent 9 years as a financial professional helping people. And that's when I retired at 37, but I help people financially. And one of the things you see is when people who don't have any reason to be poor, who've been doing all the right things, one bad accident and you're done. So there are a lot of expats coming to Brazil to say, I not only get to live here at a better cost of living, the healthcare that I need. We have people in our community who are, hello, Marie, and thank you so much for showing up. I want everybody to go see Life in Haiti with Marie. I want everybody to go to her channel. Beautiful woman, has a great story to tell. They come here just so they can afford medicine. One of the most tragic things that happened to me is there was a woman that I had a whirlwind relationship with. We had a great fling together. We partied and had a great fun for a while. And then, we moved on. I left the country, and she calls me one day. And I'm thinking, oh, haven't heard from you in a while. Now, the reason I hadn't heard from her in a while is she's now a married woman. And I'm not putting hey, you're married now. I deleted her phone number. And I knew there was something wrong with her voice. And I said, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? And she started in a regular voice, then her voice cracked like she was going to start to cry. And I said, oh my goodness, did something happened to your husband? What's going on? She said no. And then my heart dropped, because the only other person that could make her cry would be her son. What I didn't know is that their son was developmentally disabled. I don't know the details, specifics, but there is some medicine that they take that costs about $25,000 a year. Her part-time job did nothing but pay for his medicine. She lost her job. She called to say, can you find that medicine in Brazil and either ship it to me, or maybe we can go down there and buy it and bring it back. Now, the healthcare system in America reduced this woman to having to call an old boyfriend in front of her husband to ask for help, right? I don't mind helping, but the lack of having to sit your dignity down as a man and have your girlfriend call your wife call one of her old boyfriends because he lives in a country where medicine is affordable. By the way, 90% of the medicine in America that's prescription only is just over the counter here, because unlike America, they think if you don't have a prescription for all this medicine, you'll just take it and die. Actually, no, you don't. You just go to the doctor, they tell you what you need, you go to the pharmacy and get it. And then next month when it runs out, you just go buy some more. The only thing you have to get a prescription for are narcotics. Like in America, I know guys in fighting who have broken their nose and gotten prescriptions for, what's that pill they crush up and snort?
Xanax?
No, what's the other one? American Brazilian, welcome to the team. Boa noite, Inspiration Primitive. Hey, when do you get out here, Burn? And as always, BK from the Rocky Town Sheriff, he's one of the real hearts of this channel. He has done so much to keep me motivated and keep me on top of making sure I say things like, share, and subscribe, and comment. I can't tell you what it's like to live in a place where I forget that healthcare costs things. So what did I do? I went in. Oh, there it is. Boom. Oxycontin.
Oxycontin. Okay, yeah. That's what Rush Limbaugh got hooked on.
he got his nose broken, and they gave him a prescription for Oxycontin. And fortunately, he knew what it was, because a lot of fighters develop drug habits, not because they're addicts, but because they get an injury and the doctor gives them something too strong for too long. And here, it's like you can get everything that's non-narcotic, but to get a narcotic here, like you would have to have an arm hanging on by like a thread, because they're very careful about that. It's just very, 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 Thank you. And caught you live. Hey, I'm glad. I want to show everybody something, and I want to know first, before I go into this, have you had a situation where you've been able to look at the healthcare system there?
Yes, actually. So I have health insurance here, and it's great. I think I pay in total so in Chicago, I was paying about $450 a month for health insurance.
So what we're going to do is, just so we can keep our numbers straight, you're paying $450, right? So that would mean in Brazil,
for the cheapest plan. Worst plan, okay. Worst coverage.
The worst coverage possible. That means in Brazil, you were paying almost twice what I pay for rent. No, you're paying right about twice what I pay for rent. $2,400. There are people here who live on $2,000 a month with a wife and a child, 2,000 Brazilian real. So you're paying $450 dollars a month.
It wasn't nice. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. It was not good at all. It was something I was not happy about. I was paying more than almost my rent here in Colombia. And now I think I pay somewhere around like $100 to $200 a month for health insurance. Because in Colombia, you have to get the public and you can get a private. So I got both. And I got like a pretty good plan. And my copay is really nice. It's like $10 to get a checkup, $5, really easy. Like you just go, you call the doctor, you're like, hey, can I come in? He's like, yeah, sure, come in. Check you out, give you a prescription, you go buy what you need. It's all good.
So check this out. I want to show everybody a quote that I had done today, so it was recent, right? These are healthcare options. So this is what we're going to do.
Ooh, that's a good price.
These are all of, by the way, these are Brazilian real. This is not dollars. No. These are all, this is central area, São Paulo, Brazil. And I want to use São Paulo because São Paulo is the most expensive city in Brazil, okay? So let's say you live near Centro. These are all the different ones, right? You have all these different places, okay? And here is the coverage. Let's say Alcare, Ascom, Smart 300, 400 real a month with 60 hospitals and 40 laboratories. And we can go to, later on, I'll show you all the abbreviations, but we're going to skip all that. We're going to go to the Alcare, Smart 500, this place, they come to your house, take care of things. Let's say 600 real per month, right? 124 hospitals, 74 laboratories. Let's see what that costs. So if we go 600 real per month to get one of the highest, you get everything but the kitchen sink. That's $110 a month.
Wow, that's good. That's nice.
That's $110 a month. At that point, let's see. At that point, hold on a second. Let's see. There we go. Make it a little easier. At that point, you're almost cheating yourself if you don't buy it. Right? Now, here we got JM that says, is it worth it for a young traveler to get health insurance while traveling? Yes. You're talking to someone who made his fortune, so to speak, would allow me to, hold on, I need to get close up on this one. You're talking to someone who retired at 37 from a career in whole life insurance, term life insurance, cash value life insurance, and financial planning and mutual funds. Insurance is one of the most important things you can do. I tell people this all the time. I work with people who I would teach my wealthiest clients ways to put their money away and not pay taxes legally. You know what they would teach me? I learned over that 9 years, because I was born in a blue collar situation. I learned, well, what do people with money spend their money on? They spend their money on purchasing time and purchasing health. That sounds weird. One of the things you do to purchase your health is they get sick just like everybody else, people with money. The difference is they can go to the hospital every 6 months for a regular checkup, which I do here. Once a year, I do a big checkup. Once a year, I do a small checkup. They have the best healthcare plan they could possibly get, because if you catch a major illness even once in life, it's going to be worth it. Okay? Just because you're young doesn't mean something weird can't happen to you. You don't want to be in a situation where you need it. We can shave off 600 a month to go on that extra trip every now and then. You know, factor that in. Like, look at C. Jordan. Always have insurance. That's healthcare insurance and life insurance.
Can I chime in with a young Andre health insurance story?
Go for it. Give it to him.
Okay, so I am a woodworker. Is one of the things I do. You can't really see it here. You kind of I have calluses on my hand, but probably when I was like 24, 25, I was just being really careless, and I had a drill. And I was holding a piece of wood and I was just drilling. And for some reason, I didn't think that the drill could possibly go directly through the wood and drill into my hand. Basically, it looked like pork. You just saw the white on my hand. Went to the hospital, went to the emergency room in Chicago. And they looked at my hand, rinsed some saline solution on it, put a Band-Aid on it, sent me on my way. $2,000. Didn't have health insurance. $2,000 out of pocket. Just that easy. So health insurance is definitely worth it.
Here's the thing. Okay, first let's back up for a second. You're a woodworker. I'm a blacksmith, actually. I'm a backyard blacksmith.
Nice.
Yeah. I haven't built one out in Brazil yet because I don't have the room, but I really want to get back into it. And why would you think that holding a drill against a piece of wood, it wouldn't go through the wood when the job of the drill is to go through the wood?
Probably the same reason I was taking a carrot and like holding it like this and chopping it with a knife, and I just cut into my thumb just because, you know, when you're young, you're kind of like invincible, and it's just like,
wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute. You know what I like to call that, right? And I say this as a man, I'll be 44 this year, and I always have to remind these young bucks that I've been deep in the game, because they see these and they go, "Oh, you must only be..." No. I'll be 44 this year. There you go. Poncho. The arrogance of youth. The arrogance of youth allows you to believe that because you're young, the law of averages can't touch you. Let's just say you never get sick, but you trip and fall and bust that ankle. Or you're in a restaurant and the waiter drops a cup of hot cheese eggs on your lap, and now you've got a 3rd-degree burn on your leg that's this big. You didn't do anything, right? Nobody understands the value of insurance, including life insurance, and they know I can go on and on about this until they need it, and they find out if I had just planned. But I'm going to say something, and what I'm going to say, actually, I'm going to take that off the screen because I don't want it to seem like I'm pointing at anyone. It's the way that have-nots think. Haves don't spend money on things you can see. The people who have things in life, they spend their money on things you can't see. They have excellent cardiologists, dentists, vision. You save more. Like, I had some dental work done, and the dentist was like, "Hey, you're getting all this stuff done, blah, 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 buff, polish, correcting this and that. Why don't you just let us give you a whole new set of chompers?" And I was like, I'm 40-something years old. I don't even teach. She was trying to sell me on it, and she's good at her job. And then we got into a little argument. I got a little hissy fit about it. She was like, "I can close your gap for you." And I was like, I like my gap. Then she looked at me and said, "No, it doesn't cost anymore. It's included in the price." I'm like, "How dare you, madam?" Health means all aspects of life. So you have health aspects in all aspects of life. Yeah. Good evening, Med Need Knowledge. And thank you so much for showing up. I appreciate that you watch. I appreciate that you support the mafia system USA with the healthcare. You're right. And it's one of those situations where let's go back to me sharing my where is it? Come on. There. So if I bought the most expensive plan they have, meaning, and by the way, infirmary is the emergency room. If we look here, what does that say? What is that word? What is that word? I don't know. That word looks like copay to me. I think that's what that word means. I think that word means copay. You know what that means? She's in the thing, they're asking, is there a copay with it? The answer is no.
No.
It just means that's it. You just that's it. You just pay it every month and you go. Now they all come with different little perks. Let's see. So here's what we're gonna do. JM, I'm planning a trip to Mexico and stay there a few months. What affordable company or plan do you recommend? That's a private conversation. I'm not comfortable with endorsing a specific company like this. I can help you get the information you need from qualified people there. Right now, I'm focusing on Brazil. And Vlock, he read it, no copay. Yeah, no copay. So I just pay that every month. I pay my $100 US every month. And I'm also, by the way, game, I'm going to say, if I just pay a year ahead, how much discount do I get? Talk to me. Because a lot of times you can get a big discount if you just pay up front. Okay. Now, something else I'm going to share with you guys. I want to share that screen I have here where we talk about all the, where is it? Come on. Because I have it translated here. That should be it. Yeah. These are all of, and I don't know if you want to go back to the video, if you guys want to pause and go back in the video, these are all of the different abbreviations. Okay. And I also put the abbreviations here for us so we can look at all the things that they cover, because you're going to need to know what each one of those things is. Hospitalization, psychiatric, hospitalization, special care, differentiated, laboratory, emergency room with specialized care, emergency room adult, children's emergency room, specialized emergency room. Pause this video, then go back and take a look at it. And I'm just giving you, right? I'm just giving you an example so that one of the things you can factor in when you make that decision to say, would I like to go to a place like Brazil? Is Brazil an option? I want you to look at what you're doing. Because by the way, when we go down here, if you notice, you see this one, 535, it's all that stuff. You just get all the stuff. You just get all the stuff.
Yeah, these are cheaper than Colombia, actually.
You just get all the stuff for $100 a month. Decide for yourself how much your health is worth. Decide for yourself how much your health is worth. You know, and am I saying this from a very selfish point of view? Yes, let me show you guys what I do for a living. One of my chief revenue sources right now, that's something that I kind of fell into a few years ago. I do expat relocation services. People who want to come to Brazil and they want to get it done legally and get all their paperwork and all those things in order. We do visas, and I mean, I'm gonna put this in the comment section so you can follow me and add me on LinkedIn. Add me on LinkedIn. Oh my goodness, Raining Woman, love you so much, miss you. Call me. She has an amazing channel. She's a lot more calm than I am. And add me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where I have a couple of things. I tell people to look at the resume, and that's great, but that's not the most important thing. What I tell my clients to do, and potential clients especially, scroll all the way down here to where you have a section that says, drum roll, recommendations. You see, this is where other business professionals look at me and they say, oh yeah, that guy, he's everything he claims to be, and he's legitimate. I'm not going to stand here and tell you, don't let your history be a mystery. When you're dealing with someone like me who's helping you move abroad, who's telling you what visa things are, make sure there's someone with a reputation that you can track and trust. So is it in my best interest for you folks to know in the United States right now that, especially if you're someone who's got a little bit of residual income or you figured out you can do your job online? By the way, shout out to the quarantine. So many people that always said, I could never do my job on the computer, or companies that said, I'll never let them do my job on the computer. All that went out the window.
Changed it all. Changed the whole. Literally, I was talking to people who were in dire straits because they were like, I wanna move, but my job won't let me work online. They said I'll have to take a pay cut if I work online, and now everybody's like suddenly like, oh, I guess you can work from home. So,
yeah, and I think that's going to be critically important. A lot of people need to know that that's an option. They need to know that you have it as a real option. You know, what I'm telling people, I'm not magic. I'm not special. You can do this. You know, if you're a business person, you know, and by the way, there are a lot of people who are businessmen and women who want to connect with other businessmen and women, especially those of us who talk about living abroad and doing other things. I have something that I put together on Patreon. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Patreon. Patreon is where I put all of my material that's not necessarily the funny, happy-go-lucky content. The Patreon community that I put together is of business people. We talk about and share quality information, network with each other. I bring in guests to talk about how they built their businesses. By the way, Andre, I don't know if I told you this before, but you're definitely going to have to on Patreon because I want to hear about your coaching business. Not only do I want to hear about your coaching business, I want to hear about how you built that business. Okay. You know, this is a place where there are no secrets. Let's see. I'm going to put join our Patreon. And I tell people all the time, Patreon is more business, not so much fun all the time. Don't go to Patreon thinking it's going to be this happy, fun place. Go there thinking this is a place I can go to get information on business, quality information on how to do things differently and better financially and abroad. I'm not going to go through the self-masturbatory deal of reading all those things to you, but I want everyone to go through, click that link, find out whether or not what I do there and the people that I do it with is worth it for you. And that's critical. That's critical. You know, those networks. Do you have anything like that out there for yourself?
You mean like a network sort of thing, or? Yeah. You know, not really. There's not really. It's amazing because there's a lot of people coming to Colombia in droves. There are some like expat relocation services. There's no brothers doing an expat relocation service, which is a shame because there's a ton of brothers coming out here and making bad decisions, making really, really bad decisions coming to Colombia with their money, especially. So I can tell you a lot of stories about that. So
it's how do I do this? The things that I'm doing and the things that you and I are enjoying living abroad, bringing our businesses abroad, networking with each other. You and I, as Black people, we're the last people to get this kind of information, the last people to get this kind of quality. I want to get to a point where it's not a big deal anymore, where people go, oh, yeah, YusefWateef has expat relocation services. Andre does executive coaching, not YusefWateef is a Black guy who does expat relocation services. And Andre is a Black guy who does coaching. We're just two guys. Is it me? Am I getting old? Is it the Morgan Freeman? Because remember Morgan Freeman, people are all mad at Morgan Freeman when he said, can I just be referred to as a man? Do I have to be relegated to my race and not my accomplishments? Is that something that just comes with age? I don't know.
I think that's a very young statement to say for coming from a very young man. So, so I consider you to be a young spring chicken of sorts.
Yeah. I got a grade that came in here. I tell people I want to grow my beard in, but I don't want to grow it until I get like a serious good grade. You know.
Yeah, that's a good look. It's a good look.
I keep it young and flashy right now. We got cultural realism. We had a quick question for you. If you wanna give us anything like that, and what we can also do is, I'd love to come back on and we can just talk Colombia.
Okay, so I'll give you a real quick example of a bad financial decision that many make here. And in general, it's just overpaying for things, overpaying for apartments, overpaying for relationships. And that is a whole nother topic that I'm sure we could talk about. But, people coming down and they meet a girl on Tinder, they just start sending her money. Or people come down and they're just like, I got this much money, and they're flashing their money. And then they just pay like, $1,000 for a $300 a month apartment, something like that. So just leading with money instead of leading with their mind.
So let me do this. One, I want to tell everybody to definitely follow you. And this is the one that the time flies in Colombia and Ecuador that I'm going to put on the screen here. And we can have another conversation about this another day, but I tell people this all the time. First of all, beauty costs. Quality women are not free. But quality women are also not hookers. I know people can get mad about that. It's talk about YusefWateef, you know, where do you find all these beautiful young women, blah, blah, blah. And they act like there was never a point in history where a man had to learn how to just say hello to a woman. Because I believe right now, honestly, if I could snap my fingers and everything in the world stayed the same, except there was no way to do any kind of internet dating or meeting anybody on the internet, I'm happy for it. I'm happy for it because I know how to go outside and say hello to a woman. I know how to, you know, blah, 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 blah. But then you got so many of these guys who just, they genuinely believe that you're going to meet a quality woman speaking none of her language, hang out in expat spots. And then they go, oh, what happened? At the same time, you get people on the other end of the spectrum who are idiots, who are like, oh, I will never give a woman anything. Why not? Don't you want to, I mean, what are men good at? We're good at showing the women we love, we care about them. Providing the people we care about with the things they earn, if they earn it. But it's a whole nonsense. And people just get mad. You know, here's the one of the big deal, all these sad stories every day in those countries. I always wonder, like, if you met a woman in your city and she said, start sending me money, would you do it? The answer is probably no. Yet they meet women in other countries who they don't know, haven't spent any time with. And these women, just like, you know, they haven't earned any of the things they're I'm sorry.
We should definitely reconvene to talk about this subject. So it's a big one.
You want to give anybody anything to say when you sign off? Anything you want to tell them?
Yeah, you know, I would just say, be smart. Check out my channel. I'm trying to put out more videos. Thanks to Yusef. Travel. Tell your friends to travel. Tell your family to travel. Educate yourself. Gain as much knowledge as you can, and then share that education. Especially if you have kids or if you have young people in your life. And by young, I mean 20 and under, 16 and under. Put that travel bug in their head young. We got to get there. We got to spread out. We got to learn that there's like more besides just our city and our country. So that's what I'd like to leave people with. The message.
On that, I want to say thank you to everybody who took time out of your day to watch it. I don't care if you're watching it live or not. You could be doing anything, anywhere, and you chose to use your time to hang out with us. Leave information in the comments. Anything you need me to cover in the future, anything you want me to cover in the future. I want to bring in other great guests like Andre. Other than that, like, share, subscribe, stay clean, keep your fingers out of your nose.